You know, for decades, we've been told that the secret to a long, healthy life is all about managing our weight and fighting fat. But what if I told you we've been focusing on the wrong enemy this whole time? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a pretty radical shift in how we think about longevity, and it's centered on an often overlooked hero, your muscle.
So let's just kick things off with a big question. Are we fighting the wrong health crisis? I mean, you see the headlines everywhere, right? Screaming about the obesity epidemic. But according to experts like Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, whose work really informs this whole conversation, the real story, the one that actually matters, might be hidden in plain sight.
All right, so what is this real health epidemic we're talking about? I'll give you a hint. It's probably not what you think.
Look, our culture is laser-focused on obesity, right? The very visible issue of being overfat. It gets all the attention, but the real kind of hidden epidemic is something called sarcopenia, which is just a fancy way of saying we're under-muscled. The problem isn't just having too much fat, it's that we have far, far too little functional muscle tissue. So, what in the world is sarcopenia? Simply put, it's the loss of muscle mass and strength that happens as we get older. And this is a huge deal because, crucially, it's the #1 reason older adults lose their mobility and their independence. It's why someone might suddenly struggle to get out of a chair, or why a simple fall becomes a major life event. It's a silent decline with massive consequences.
This leads us to a really important point. Why is muscle so critical? We need to completely reframe how we think about it. It's time to see muscle as your body's metabolic currency. Because trust me, it is so much more than just the stuff that helps you lift heavy things.
As Dr. Gabrielle Lyon says, muscle is the largest organ in the body. It is our metabolic currency. Now just pause on that for a second. Thinking of your muscle as an organ, like your liver or your heart, that completely changes the game, doesn't it? It's not just for movement, it's a central player in your entire metabolic system.
So let's pull back the curtain on some of muscle's secret jobs, because this is where it gets really cool. First, it's the biggest place in your body for getting rid of blood sugar, which is massive for preventing things like type 2 diabetes. It's also like a savings account of amino acids that your body draws on when you're sick. And when you exercise, your muscles release these powerful anti-inflammatory molecules called myokines, which fight the chronic inflammation linked to everything from heart disease to Alzheimer's. It even helps regulate key hormones. The bottom line is simple. The more healthy muscle you have, the better your entire body functions, period.
Okay, so we've established that muscle is absolutely critical. But here comes the challenge. As we get older, our body's rules for building and keeping that muscle, well, they start to change.
Just consider this for a second. It's a bit of a mind bender. You can be the exact same weight on the scale at age 25 and then again at age 65, but have a totally, completely different body. At 25, that 180 pounds might be mostly lean, strong muscle. But fast forward to 65, and that same 180 pounds can be made up of way less muscle and way more fat. The scale hasn't changed, but your body composition, your metabolic health, and your strength have taken a serious nosedive.
So why does this happen? Well, the key culprit is something called anabolic resistance. Basically, after you hit about age 40, your muscles get a little hard of hearing. They become less sensitive to the protein you eat. They need a louder signal, which means more high-quality protein, just to get the same message to grow and repair. The chicken breast you eat at 50 just doesn't trigger the same muscle-building response it did when you were 20.
So this brings us to the solution. If our muscles need a stronger signal, we have to give them the right building blocks. This is where the protein blueprint comes in, and it's all built on one key idea. Not all protein is created equal, not by a long shot.
This raises a really important question, one that gets debated all the time. Does the source of your protein actually matter for building muscle? For a long time, the common wisdom was just protein is protein, but the science is now telling us a very different story.
Let's break it down. Animal protein is typically complete. That means it has all the essential amino acids your body needs, and it sends a really strong signal for muscle growth. Most plant proteins, on the other hand, are incomplete, and they just provide a weaker signal. Now, this doesn't mean you can't build muscle on a plant-based diet. Of course you can. But as the source material points out, it means you have to be smarter about it. It generally requires more quantity and very careful combination to get that same powerful effect.
So, how much should we actually be aiming for? Well, of course, it's going to be a bit different for everyone, but a great target to consider is getting around 30% of your daily calories from high-quality protein. This is especially important as you get older, because that's how you overcome that anabolic resistance we just talked about.
Okay, let's put it all together into something you can actually use. Here is your simple, two-part muscle-building plan to invest in your own longevity.
Honestly, it really just boils down to this two-part strategy for life. First, you have to prioritize your dietary protein. I mean, make it a non-negotiable. Focus on getting enough high-quality sources every single day. And second, you have to add resistance exercise. Protein gives you the bricks, but resistance training, like lifting weights, is the construction crew that tells your body to actually build the wall. You absolutely need both to make it work.
You know, we spend so much time looking for external solutions to aging, creams, supplements, all these miracle cures. But what if the fountain of youth isn't some myth you have to go out and find? What if it's been inside you this whole time, just waiting to be built, one muscle fiber at a time?